All right. So you're averaging about like 4 interviews like a week, and we're not really getting. So right now it's just like we're getting like. So let's look at the positives right now because it's always good to go out there and actually get some positives, get some quick wins. You're getting the interviews on the calendar, but you're not converting those interviews into offers. So in the world of sales, it's like you're getting bookings on your calendar as well, but you're not converting you're either not converting those leads into like the next stage in the deal flow, or you're not converting like, if you're like up the ranks, you're not converting them into deals, period, right? So that would be really frustrating. So there's two ways to go out there and actually attack this problem. Number one thing that you actually can do is always increase the quantity because like I think it's very easy to assume that just because it's very easy to go ahead and assume that just because like that we didn't get the job, that we think that something that we did something wrong. It's actually not always the case. Sometimes it's actually like the company's priorities change. And right now it is actually a time where there's a lot of change that's actually happening in the market. Like we've heard about um DeepSeek has created a lot of rift in the world of tech. So like Nvidia lost about 11% of their 11% of their market value. And then you also have like I think they took like some people say anywhere between like a 600 billion to like a $1 trillion hit, but like that's just messed up that dude's Chinese New Year. Like that. Right. So you got to understand that like first things first is you got to take a look at like you got to take a look at all the what in my old company we used to call like the war room. We used to call the uncontrollables or something called the externals. And externals are just basically things that are just completely outside of our control. And they equated when I was being trained in sales, um, when I was being trained in sales, they actually equated this to like dating is like things just don't work out sometimes. It's not because it's like it's your fault, it's just not a good fit. It's not because you're a bad person, right? So let's take a
Had a
look.
couple that is not a good fit.
Right. So like 8 days ago, right? Banks running Trump war rooms as bosses prepare, for like trade ructions. So the greatest president of all time. This is actually a pretty hilarious one, I think. Like JP Morgan, actually where I'm based right now, where I'm based in New York, they're actually set up like a whole floor where it's a dedicated war room to just analyzing everything, every executive order that Trump signed, and how that's
Mhm.
going to go ahead and impact any position that they have from an investment standpoint. Like right
Wow.
now throughout the country, they're having like it's freaking gangster. They're having like these literally like ICE agents out there just cracking down, right? They're like you're hearing about it on the news, like them sending planes of people back home. And the natural
Right.
tendency is like, well, what the hell does that have to do with me getting, aka me getting a job? A lot. Because one side of the market's going to go out there and affect another side of the market. Um, Other things such as another thing that I actually tell people to go ahead and look at is actually take a look at like DeepSeek.
Okay.
What is DeepSeek and why is it disrupting the AI sector? Which is actually why I have that other YouTube channel, which is called What Bad Economy. Um,
Mhm.
and the reason for that is like I want people to understand that these are businesses, you're selling a product, and they make hiring decisions based upon how the market operates. So when you're thinking that you're not getting a job out there, is because something that you are doing wrong. A lot of the time, 70% of the time, actually, it's just market. So you can't exactly play basketball like if there's a gigantic hole in the middle of the court, right? During COVID-19, same thing. We had people that actually got a ton of offers from really, really hot companies. And what ended up happening was they started getting letters coming back saying like, hey, we have to delay your start date indefinitely. What does indefinitely mean? It means like we don't know when you're going to start the job. Well, does that mean I'm going to get paid? Like, well, about that, no, but I already handed in my notice for my current job. Yeah, about that. You probably shouldn't have done that. Like that's a crazy time, right? So the first things first is recognizing like, oh, it wasn't the right match. Now, the other thing that we're actually talking about here is like, so what could I have controlled? Honestly, let's talk about beginning, before, during, and after. When you're preparing for a tech sales interview, I think things that we should always look at is who's working there, connecting with them on LinkedIn, actually creating a very strong impression. And things that I would actually take a look at is going to be the following. If I was going to go out there and interview with any of these companies that I just posted up, like on LinkedIn, give me a second
Mhm.
here. And I see these people that are posting for this role, right? Like I'm hiring for like a sales development representative to join my Redwood, Washington team at Seagull, or like I'm
Mhm.
looking for these people. Well, things that I would actually do before I even get on the interview to kind of increase my chances a little bit is I would always go ahead and just send that person a connection request. And the next thing that I would do is let them know, hey, I'm interviewing with you on Thursday at 2 p.m. and I'm very much looking forward to having this conversation. So that way it's like you're not exactly coming in cold. You actually have like you're actually like establishing some type of rapport with them. Another thing that I would do is I would actually take a look at their about and actually see who they are. So things that like remember like um crazy enough, like for the product management call, we started sourcing like hiring managers on LinkedIn, and this guy he just posted up like a LinkedIn post. I would take a look at all of their posts and what's been going on with them. So if they're posting for this, like had a great time putting it pop up with the sales and marketing team over here at Seagolf, you know, and let's just say like um I don't know. I did this for another. I think I did this for like the cybersecurity call. I'm like back to back on calls. I like get wiped out. But it's like they did a snowboarding thing, or they did like an escape room. Escape room was like definitely one that I saw
Mhm.
for cyber, right? I don't
Mhm.
snowboard ski myself, but it's like, oh man, I saw that you were like hitting the slopes out there in Poconos. How was that? I saw that it was the first time, because sometimes people they like to go out there and make these motivational posts like, I tried skiing for the first time, and I fell a bunch of times. And it just made me
But I
realize,
gotta.
like sales, like you fall down and you got to get back up, but I still hurt but I
Right.
still like limping on my left knee. So s- things like that, where you're saying like, hey, how's your knee? Like you hurt the left side of your knee, right? It's like, oh, how'd you know about that? Oh, you posted it. It's like, oh yeah. So you talk about something like that, marathons,
Mhm.
um, I don't even know, bar mitzvahs, whatever it is, right? If you take a look at like
That's a
what
good idea.
posting, and you also take a look at like uh you take a look at like what they've been posting, you can actually find out like
Hmm.
a lot about these people even before you get on the interview, right? So sometimes people
That's a
say
good idea.
like I'm launching because everybody right now, like what am I doing with you guys right now? Like I'm helping you guys to kind of like promote your own brand. Everybody's looking for like a secondary income stream, right? We're like watching this shit go down live. People love
Mhm.
this like before and after like training for the fight kind of thing. Like you'll see a lot of people that are like setting up like their own one of the things that got one of our people a job recently was they were interviewing for Spotify on the other side. product, your sister program. You guys are more than welcome to join in on those calls too, by the way, if you guys want. But like it was because like the guy was DJing on the weekends, right? And he was like, a year
Hmm.
ago, I decided to put myself out there. And like now it's just like he has like X number of followers, blah, 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 blah. And just the interview was largely based upon like, yo, I personally think that, like one of our guys actually listened to all of his music. And he was like, yo, I personally think you're such an inspiration for putting yourself out there. Like, I've been wanting to get into like DJing, but like, I bought the equipment and everything. And I've actually worked on some stuff, but like, I can't bring myself to go out there. But I did see, I did go ahead and see on your Instagram that you actually had a really good turnout. I think that's so awesome. And the guy was like, you did? What was my favorite song? And it was just like, now you got to actually do that. But in sales, it's also about like relationships, right? Where it's just, you
Right.
know, sometimes why somebody would decide to go for like a HubSpot instead of a Salesforce largely is because they feel like CRM is a CRM, but like I feel like, if you take a look at how people actually move up the ranks in tech sales, is largely because they feel like they have a relationship. So a lot of like the 750 $1 million producers at these companies, they start off in the beginning already thinking they're going to be at the very top. So like when they actually say like, yo, like welcome to the HubSpot family, and if you have any problems, like just reach out to me. Like if I can't get you the answer, I'll find out who does, right? um and then lo and behold, something does go F up. And you're actually a better rep than the customer success person that they got paired up with, right? Oh, that's exactly like, but they're already having that mindset, like, I'm not going to leave that guy hanging like that. So things before an interview that you can do to increase your chances is get to know who these people are as a human being, because that's a very
Hmm.
good indicator of how well you're going to establish relationships on the job. Other things that I would actually look for in terms of like, why do you want to work here? Always source out the company's Instagram page and find out what's been going on with them. Oh my gosh, like,
Mm.
I just saw that you guys secured another $43 million in Series B. Um, find out some kind of exciting news about them. And people ask me, is like, if they don't have any exciting news, probably not a company you want to work at anyways. So, right. They
Actually
got to
makes
be
sense.
posting up
Yeah.
something. If you're on Instagram right now, you're posting like every single day. Um, so these are just a few things that you guys can go ahead and do before to go out there and signal how well you guys would do on how well you guys can go ahead and do on the job. Things that you can go ahead and do during the interview. Honestly, a few things. You can record yourself and listen to yourself on the interview. That's one. You can record yourself. Another thing that you can actually go ahead and do, and it's just because like in sales, treat the interview process like, because like I want you guys to be $1 million producers, right? You guys might not see it right now, but a year from now, you can get a lot done. Sales people and sales teams across every vertical, the people that listen to their own interview, their own calls, and the people that don't, exponentially outperform them in terms of earnings. So they'll take like, it doesn't even matter if you're like in car sales, real estate sales. It doesn't even matter if you are in like, gosh, roofing sales, whatever form of sales. If you're watching yourself perform, you will go ahead and actually dramatically improve. So just put your iPhone next to the freaking, like next time that you're doing your call, or like have your computer actually record it. There's tons of apps out there, QuickTime, like whatever it is, right? There's tons of free AI apps where it's just going to transcribe your interview, and start looking for just improvements that you guys can make immediately. Like, 5 things, right? If you're actually, it's not hard for you to transcribe it. I mean, right now, like you just pop in the transcription into DeepSeek and it's like, what are your answers, right? What are the questions? Okay, let's just be smart about this. What would a Kobe or Tom Brady do? you're being asked what questions are you being asked on these interviews, and what are the answers that you guys are giving, and you can start very easily seeing that there's ways that you can improve your answers. So like, oh, like asking me like, oh, what do you think I should do? Like when people ask me that, like I have no freaking clue because I don't know what your answers are. So it's easier to go from like 0 to 1 than 0 to 10, right? So where can we go ahead and grab quick wins? Okay, this answer is definitely too long. That answer is definitely too short. Those are things that we can go out there and control. Um, you should be doing this when you're on the job as well. This is what's going to be the difference between you making 100,000 versus like $750,000 a year, is how much work you guys put in at the very beginning. Other things that you guys can be doing during the interview is actually asking for direct feedback. Like, okay, yeah, thank you so much for scheduling a call with me. Let me ask you this, like, what would you say are the most, like, what do you anticipate to be the reasons why people fail at this job? And also, like what are you looking for in terms of like success indicators for this role, right? Because they're actually looking for business partners right now too. They're looking for like an SDR. Part of the reason why like some people they don't get the SDR role is you got to think in terms of a business perspective. You're only going to move up in sales either by like you crushing it. So you do really good at your job, right? But they want to see if you're going to have like management capability. I mean, we have our own admissions team here too, and there's just some people they just can like close, 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 and then but they'll never really be good managers just because they don't have the administrative part down. And it's easier. Most salespeople will fail because they just suck, and they're just like quitters. Uh, Other people they can go out there and actually move up the ranks, but like the best that they're gonna do is just be what we call like the trigger person. That's the Jason Bourne guy. That's just like I can just they're good for like X amount of dollars on their desk, and you can just depend on them to deliver that. And then you have people that can go into management. You have to go ahead and ask them this question. 3 to 6 months from now, who do you want, like a year from now, who do you want this salesperson, like this new SDR that you're hiring, who do you want them to become for you? Some sales managers, if they're very early on in their career, they'll just look for killers. Like, I'm just looking for somebody to go out there and make it rain for me. Some other people, that's like, take a look at how long they've been doing the jobs. Like, I'm looking for somebody I can groom up to be a manager here. Okay, because I'm tired of doing it. They're ready to move on to another part of their career, right? So they're looking for a replacement. And as of right now, you have to understand what your product market fit in the organization is. Like I said, 60 to 80% of sales talent, the reason why they hire in batches is they will fail and they will quit. There will be the 20 to 40% that would be very good in terms of like being just killers and like they can go out there and close and they can do all that. But there's very few people that will actually go from sales to sales management. That's actually the real value prop, right? So you have to ask. So another reason why they might go ahead and actually decide to reject you or decide to move forward with somebody else is they feel like another person could be a better management candidate. These are also things that they will never tell you. Other things is asking for feedback on the spot. A lot of salespeople don't do that on the interview. Is what areas do you feel like I could have done to go ahead and improve, right? Or what, and actually draft up a thank you letter addressing that. These are things that we can do afterwards. Thank you letter should never be about like thanking them for their time, but thank you letter should be attacking, you know, should be attacking what part of the interview you effed up on and you could have done better. That shows a lot of self-awareness. When you
Hmm.
asked me this question earlier today about how I would handle a price objection, I'm just throwing a random example, right? And it says that, but you guys are so much more expensive than what it is that we're paying for right now. Honestly, I was a little thrown off and I wasn't happy with that answer. How I would have answered it would be this. And calling yourself out and just knowing where you could have improved also shows a lot of character in terms of like how you would perform on the job. So like if you guys have like if you guys know like, think about honestly what part of the interview can you go ahead and improve on? And this is actually what we got to go ahead and work on. It's like having that like athletic mindset, right? I love bringing in sports references because like um there's a lot of parallels between sports and sales because they're both highly competitive activities. And there's a lot of things that you cannot control. So you have to, Kobe was like, they said like I think it was like one of his beginning seasons. He was like, man, you know, uh, I didn't have that good of a season. And he's like, what I realized was this: high school, we're only playing this many games. And um, he was like, at the professional level, you're playing a lot more and you're playing back to back and you're also traveling across country. You didn't have to do that in high school. So he's like, I was taking a look at all my shots. They were online, but they weren't getting to even the rim. And he's like, it's because I didn't have the legs. So in the off season, he was like, I was deadlifting nonstop. I had the legs, corrected the problem. So these are things that like you got to have, I think, that degree of self-awareness of like, what is it that you're doing wrong? And it starts by actually reviewing your own performance because you would only know. If you think about it, like an entire sports franchise that's supposed to be dedicated to helping you succeed, if you got to go ahead and watch yourself perform, like nobody's going to want it more than you do, right? So you got to take a look at like, I operate at the $750,000 level. So even before you operate at the $750,000 level, um, other things that you can go out there and do afterwards is actually just role playing and mock interviewing with, Grayson here, your fellow other compatriots. These are other things that you can also go ahead and do. How do you think you're doing, right? I actually had my own team do the same thing and uh actually posted up on YouTube. Same thing. Like I had these two guys, they were actually doing like a mock interview with each other, like how to interview for like e-commerce product manager roles. They actually mock interviewed each other and they're putting it out there too. And they're like actual PMs. This one here is like a Nike PM, and this the other guy here is a Samsung PM and former. And I was like, yo, games changed. It got elevated. That's what we say around here, right? So, the hilarious thing is like, have you ever watched that show, The Wire?
I've
It's one
seen
of
like
my,
2 episodes, 3 episodes, I think.
yeah, yeah. Not gonna lie, I love shows about drug dealing because it brings a very realistic outlook in the world. Because like, because like the dude,
In
there's
sales.
right. Yeah, because there's one guy, he was like, yo, man, I'm out there in the corner. I ain't got no backup back in the days. And his boss is like, you see, the thing about back in the days is not today. And it's definitely not tomorrow. So the truth is like, even the people that I notice, like right now, you guys might feel like you guys are struggling. Like even the salespeople that are like at the top of their game, right? They don't perform well every single quarter, 4 quarters out of the year. They have to like level up all the time. If you take a look at Brady or like a Jordan, when you're starting off, they're like, you don't have enough experience. And then in the middle of the career, they're like, he's got too many injuries. And then towards the end of the career, they're like, you're too old, or you're getting a divorce, or like, how are you dealing with your divorce? Did you know your ex-wife already found a new boyfriend? Or like, at what point did you realize your wife had like knew that you had somebody else on the side? Like there's always some shit. Family members get you on an investment that not only not paid out, freaking trying to clean you out completely. There's always something like going on, right? I remember like
Right.
Canelo first. I remember one of Canelo the boxer's fights was actually on my birthday week in New York, back in 2018. And we actually went out there to see him because I was right by MSG at the time. And then like 2 years later, he does an interview. He was just like, they're like, man, like so your brother was kidnapped like 2 days leading up to the fight. And they like,
What?
I know, right? And like the thing was like hilarious. Like we went out there as like a team event to see like the press conference and like everything. Because like growing up in LA, we're like big fans of like Mexican fighters, and like I think that guy is just like he's such a brand. And we decided to hop over there. I was
Yeah.
like, yo, I would have never thought his brother was like kidnapped at the press conference.
Right. That's crazy.
You know? Yeah. God.
And then you still have focusing.
Yeah, and he still
Like,
won.
that's crazy.
The guy actually got on the phone with like those guys, like, you want to make some money? He's like, yeah, we want to get paid. He's like, yeah, bet on me. He's like, take everything you got right now, and just bet on me that night. Yeah.
That's nice. Did they get their money?
I don't know, dude. But like,
Who knows? Who knows? But yo, that's a good
that
branding
was
too. It's good branding.
friggin' insane, dude. That guy was
Yeah.
like, man, he was like, the only thing I was thankful of is he was like, it was just like, man. He was like, the guy was like, damn, that's crazy. Kidnap like, uh, and like boxing, it's like a whole family business. They usually like they just bring in like their whole family into like, well, usually like that sports and entertainment world, like it is a family business because like those are the only people you can trust. But like things like that is, I think when you're running up against the wall, and even even myself too, like we had you got to rework on your pitch, and like the mindset that you need to have yourself, hopefully you guys gonna watch this thing again, is like, all right, how would like an Elon Musk actually approach this problem? Because I'm not converting right now. It's probably not the first time in your life where you didn't get your way, but you got to think in this business is not going to be the last time. You have to actually go out there and evolve. As also like a business operation, how we've been selling these programs 2017 to now 2025 has been very different. So like we always are looking, because your competitors aren't just going to stay still. So like a LinkedIn message, I remember we had this one LinkedIn message. It worked out like I think it bagged in about like $70,000 in enrollments for us. And it was called Our Unique Algorithm Determined That You Were Looking for XYZ Job. And people would be like, how did you know? And it was basically like, these posts that we put up on the Airtable, and we would just reach out and actually just say, like, we would just actually reach out, and like all those people that liked it, we would just reach out, and we would just, I mean, if you like a hiring post, or you say like, I'm interested in the job too, that means you're looking for like a product manager or like cybersecurity or whatever job, right? So we would have one of our team members go out there and just DM them and say like, hey, Our Unique Algorithm. And people would be like, oh yeah? Like, yeah, how did you know? Like, would you want to do a call? And then they would enroll in the program. 4 months later, this like one guy was like, this one jerk was like, can I see your freaking algorithm? And it was just like, it stopped working. And it was just like, so you gotta like, so we changed up the LinkedIn message again. But like, that's a perfect example. And I love that LinkedIn message so much that like every 3 to 4 months, I would try to reintroduce it. And it's, for 8 years, there's enough data to just know that thing is dead as mother loving fried chicken. It's over. Like there's no point even trying to revive it. So like that's the perfect example. Like you have to know how to pivot. So you guys might have this like real good, like, in the sales world, we call like a Wolf on Wall Street script that's just printing cash for you guys. And then all of a sudden it stops working, right? You guys are doing a crap ton of calls and you guys are not converting, same thing. And one of the things that a really good salesperson is going to think this way is like, I think that's like the key difference between Elevate and all the other programs is people assume like uh things are just gonna stay good. Like, no. Anything that like works doesn't work forever. It just stops working. You know?
Facts.
So like long-winded answer, but like I think it's very easy. I mean, because like right now I'm managing salespeople too, the people that you guys talk that people talk to go out there and enroll in these programs. Sometimes one person has like a really hot month, sometimes another person has like a really hot quarter, and then they start thinking about like whether or not they should do something else. It's my job really as a sales manager, keep them engaged. Otherwise, it's like we spent all this time, energy, and effort investing in them, and then they like go somewhere else. Right? And we don't want that, right? We want them to like stay still. But in a 4 quarter year, there's only 4 quarters in a year. It's hard for everybody to be performing all 12 months really good. It's actually hard to get somebody perform really good all 4 quarters. So like when I work with you guys and getting you guys promoted as soon as possible, and I envision a future where I'm training you guys how to manage your own staff more effectively. You gotta like this is actually why it's so important to document this time is you guys will in due time have the same conversation with somebody on your team that's just like, oh, F it. And you want to let them know, you know what? You must be wilding right now if you think I haven't been exactly where you've been, but it's not about the problems that are thrown at you. It's like how you respond to those problems that's going to make you a true champion. You got to think about like how I'm going to go out there and pivot. So when I get thrown a problem, the kind of the mindset that I start shifting more of is like, yeah, y'all gonna think I'm gonna go down that easily. Like I actually kind of been it's a muscle that I've been stretching is like learning how to embrace these obstacles and turning them into opportunities. In fact, that's actually one of my favorite books, which is Turning Obstacles into Opportunities by Ryan Holiday. Um, so like there's like he just references like a bunch of stories where people were able to take an adverse time and turn it into like a better time. I actually try to listen to it as much as possible on my Audible. Yeah. Basically any other questions?
Yeah. Could you look at my LinkedIn profile and give me some feedback?
I got you. Hmm. Hmm. You went to Penn State?
Yeah.
Yeah, no way. I have a lot of friends that went over there.
It's a great school.
So I've been told. Okay. So you take this right here, and I would have. Oh man, I was gonna say that. I was like, were you in the US Navy? I was like,
Yeah.
battleships right here.
Right.
You were in the US Navy.
Yeah, that's all right.
Norfolk, thank you for your
That's
service.
awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Here's what I would go ahead and do, right? So this is actually one of the guys that came out of our program for product management. So I would have a less corporate photo, and I would actually have something that's like I would actually have something that's like a little bit more business casual, and I would have like a lighter backdrop, which is like, it's been actually proven that like people that have um like a more like what should I say?
Colorful.
Yeah, people love things with water and sunshine. So think like Hawaii, Bermuda, Bahamas, you know.
Okay.
That's all great stuff. And then like something with a nice smile, frontward facing. This right here, a little bit too corporate, because you're getting ready to go into tech sales. So I always use like a good rule of thumb. Look at a company,
Okay.
like a hot company, right? Like a Google, and I hit that. And I'll just take a look at like if you go to people, 10,000 employees, take a look at like how their photos are. It's usually front
Mm-hmm.
facing, and then they got some kind of sunshine going on in the background, like if they're part of the Elysian Fields. Right. So
Makes
I would
sense.
so I would actually have that. I would actually have that. See, it's front facing, front facing, front facing, front facing, front facing, and they got some kind of greenery in the back, right? So I would actually do that. And then like this, thank you for your service. This is like high stress. We changed
I got you.
this one lady's photo. It was like the desert. It was like the desert during sunset to a photo of like Hawaii, and her interview shot up. And I was like, yeah, dude, they ain't trying to look at that. That's just stressful. 100%. I think like other things that we should just go out there and do is also underneath skills right here.
Mm-hmm.
I would add like SDR, tech sales. I would add all this other stuff such as like give me a second here. See, you want to go ahead and actually add that where add all these buzzwords right here. All these buzzwords, you want to go ahead and actually add that into your skill section. Let me see here. And I think other things that are just very actionable is just adding like hiring managers like all the time. Um, add like I would say connect with 35 hiring managers a day.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, we've already gotten two people off the call, so now we just got to get used to off, right? And it's about to happen. So we leaving nobody behind. Uh, so like other things too is like, are you like, is that your interview? Is that your backdrop on the Google Hangouts when you're on the interviews?
Uh, no, when I'm on interviews, I don't use a backdrop. I just use my room.
Got it, got it, got it, got it. Okay, cool. Um, yeah. So give me a
I
second.
got a question. Rick.
Shoot.
So if this was like my background right now, do you think this would be good?
Yeah.
Okay. And then after that, can you also check my LinkedIn? I'm curious. I definitely know I gotta change my photo. I mean, it's not like I look different, but like I'm not smiling as much. I'm just doing like a smirk. I can send you. Oh, there you are.
Okay. So same thing. Here's what I would go ahead and do. I would update this photo right here, this backdrop.
Okay.
Okay. Um, and then the other thing here that I would go ahead and do is I would go ahead and also add in all of those other things down here too. The buzzwords that I talked about right here.
All right.
Yeah, I would add that all over here.
To skills. I got
Yeah,
you.
some skills. Actually, both of you guys do that shit right now.
Got you. Did you post it in school yet?
I did.
Nice.
It's under a coaching call for Tuesday, 129. 128 actually for you guys.
I was like, what? Today's Wednesday.
What you wild right now?
Yeah, I can't do it. All right. Coaching calls.
Right.
Tuesday. There we go. Nice. What if we don't even know it, how to use it, or it's just not gonna really matter?
Is added in there.
All right. Do you think, like personally, do you think I should like delete my non-relevant sales experience, or should I just keep it there? Because I have a lot of jobs, as you can see.
See that.
Okay.
It's like it here. Alrighty. So now would be the time for you guys to go ahead and schedule that freaking call with us if you guys want to get in on this action. So I'm about to give my man Grayson here some secret tips. All right.
Schedule.